My name is Emeka Nwosu, but everyone calls me Max. I'm 32 years old, and I live in a modest one-bedroom apartment in Buckhead, Atlanta, where the morning light filters through blinds I bought at Target 3 years ago. The place is clean, sparse, functional, like everything else in my life. If you visited, you'd probably think I was just another tech worker getting by, maybe struggling a little with student loans or saving up for something better. You wouldn't know that last month, I quietly deposited the final payment from a $50 million acquisition into an account my family has never seen. But let me start from the beginning. I grew up in College Park, about 20 minutes south of where I live now, in a house that always smelled like my mother's pepper soup and echoed with my father's deep voice discussing Nigerian politics with whoever would listen. We were the Nwosus, Papa Obinna, Mama Ngozi, myself, my brother Desmond, and my sister Amaka. Papa worked as a civil engineer for the city, and Mama was a nurse at Grady Hospital. They came to America in 1985 with 2 suitcases and dreams bigger than the cramped apartment they first called home. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. As the eldest son, I learned early that my role wasn't just to succeed, it was to be responsible for everyone else's success, too. You are the pathfinder, Papa would say, his finger pointed at my chest. Your brother and sister will follow where you lead. I took this seriously, maybe too seriously. While other kids played video games, I studied. While they complained about chores, I did mine, and Desmond's too, just to keep the peace. Desmond was different from the start. 4 years younger, he had this magnetic energy that filled rooms. Even as a kid, he could charm his way out of trouble with a smile and a joke that made Papa laugh until his belly shook. Teachers loved him, neighbors loved him, and Papa saw something in Desmond that he never seemed to see in me. That boy has vision, Papa would say, watching 8-year-old Desmond convince the ice cream truck driver to give him extra time to find money he didn't have. He's going to be somebody special. I was sitting right there, holding a certificate for honor roll, but Papa's eyes were on Desmond. This pattern followed us through high school. I graduated valedictorian, got accepted to Georgia Tech on a partial scholarship, and planned to study computer science. Desmond barely passed his classes but had already started buying and selling sneakers, turning a $200 birthday gift into $2,000 by senior year. Guess which achievement got celebrated at dinner? See how your brother thinks like a businessman? Papa would beam, while I pushed jollof rice around my plate. Max is book smart, but Desmond understands money. I went to Georgia Tech. Worked part-time at the campus IT help desk to cover what my scholarship didn't. Lived on ramen noodles and ambition. After graduation, I got a job at a mid-sized software company in Atlanta, writing code for inventory management systems. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady, and I was good at it. Desmond, meanwhile, had discovered social media. Last week, an invitation arrived in my mailbox. Cream-colored cardstock with gold lettering announcing the annual Nwosu family reunion. I held it for a long time, knowing exactly what awaited me. Another evening of watching Desmond hold court while I smiled politely from the sidelines. But this time, I thought about the portfolio statement sitting in my desk drawer. This time might be different. While I spend my mornings debugging code in a quiet office downtown, Desmond's days unfold like a performance. His Instagram stories are a constant stream of luxury cars, expensive watches, and motivational quotes overlaid on photos of construction sites. Your grind determines your shine, he posted yesterday, standing in front of a half-built duplex in Decatur that he claims will make him 7 figures easy. Desmond calls himself a real estate mogul now. He hosts webinars from his Mercedes, teaches courses on flipping your way to freedom, and has somehow convinced our parents that every risky investment is proof of his entrepreneurial genius. Last month, he bought a Rolex on credit to wear during a TikTok about looking successful to become successful. Papa shared the video with the caption, "My son knows how to invest in himself." I watched that video while eating a turkey sandwich at my desk. The irony wasn't lost on me. "You're insane, you know that?" Liam Saunders, my college roommate turned business partner, says as we sit at our usual corner table at Java Lords on Peachtree. He's scrolling through Desmond's latest post, a photo of him standing next to a sold sign with the hashtag $1 million mindset. Your brother's out here flexing rental properties while you're sitting on 8 figures in acquisition money. 8 figures. Even saying it sounds surreal. 3 years ago, Liam and I started Build Bridge Solutions in my apartment. We created software that helped small manufacturers streamline their supply chains, boring, practical stuff that solved real problems. While Desmond was posting workout videos and real estate tips, we were working 18-hour days, living on pizza and determination. Last year, Meridian Industries acquired us for $52 million. $52 million. I still haven't told my parents. They don't ask about my work, I tell Liam, stirring sugar into my coffee. Papa thinks I fix computers for a living. When I try to explain SaaS platforms, his eyes glaze over. So show them a bank statement. It's not about the money. Bullshit. Liam leans forward. It's exactly about the money. Your family worships your brother because they think he's rich. You are rich. You're just rich quietly. That's the thing about being raised to be responsible. You learn to carry weight without making noise. While Desmond broadcasts every deal, every success, every possibility, I've built my wealth in silence, not because I'm ashamed, but because I never learned how to make noise. The reunion's next weekend, I say. Perfect timing, Liam grins. Bring receipts. I laugh, but something shifts inside me. Maybe it's time to stop being invisible. Maybe it's time to let them see who I really am. The billboard catches me off guard as I drive down I-85 toward my parents' house. Desmond's face, 20 feet tall and gleaming white teeth, stares down at morning traffic with the tagline, "Turn your dreams into deeds with D-Money Real Estate." Below it, his phone number in bold red letters. I pull over and take a photo, not because I'm proud, but because I need evidence that this is really happening. My little brother's face is watching over Atlanta, like some kind of prosperity gospel prophet. At the house, Papa's in his usual spot on the porch, reading the Atlanta Journal-Constitution with reading glasses perched on his nose. He looks up when my Honda Civic pulls into the driveway. The same car I've driven for 6 years. The same car he's suggested I replace with something more professional, at least a dozen times. "Emeka," he says, folding his paper, "did you see your brother's billboard? Hard to miss." That's what I'm talking about. Papa stands, stretching his back. "That boy knows how to build a brand. You should learn from him." Inside, the house smells like Mama's curry and the faint scent of the vanilla candle she burns in the living room. She's at the stove, stirring something that makes my stomach rumble despite the knot forming there. "My firstborn," she says, wiping her hands on her apron before hugging me. She's made my favorite, jollof rice with fried plantains, but her smile carries that familiar weight of gentle disappointment. "You look thin. Are you eating?" "I'm fine, Mama." "Sit, sit." She plates food with the practiced efficiency of someone who's fed 3 children for 30 years. "Your brother called this morning. He closed another deal yesterday, a duplex in East Point. 200,000 profit. The numbers don't add up. They never do with Desmond's deals, but I just nod and eat. Papa joins us at the kitchen table, still holding his newspaper. "You know what Desmond told me? He's thinking about franchising his business model. Imagine that. Your brother building an empire while you..." He gestures vaguely at me. "What exactly are you building, Amaka?" "I write software that helps businesses." I know. Computers." Papa waves his hand dismissively. "But where's your legacy?" "Desmond's got his face on billboards, teaching people how to create wealth. You just work for other people's companies." The kitchen faucet starts dripping again, the same leak I fixed 6 months ago. I get up, Grab the wrench from the drawer where it's always been, and tighten the connection until the dripping stops. Thank you, Mama says quietly, but Papa's already moved on to reading Desmond's latest Instagram post out loud. I sit back down and finish my rice in silence, tasting nothing. 3 days before the reunion, I meet Liam at Starbucks on Ponce de Leon. He's already waiting when I arrive. Laptop open, working on code for our next project, a habit we've maintained even after the acquisition. Some people retire at 32 with $50 million. We build more software. So, he says without looking up from his screen, did you bring it? I slide a manila folder across the small table. Inside is a single sheet of paper, my portfolio statement from Meridian Financial Services, dated last week. At the bottom, in clean black numbers, $52,847,293.18. Liam opens the folder, glances at the number, and closes it again. You sure about this? I'm not sure about anything. For 3 days, I've rehearsed this moment in my head. Not the dramatic reveal. I'm not built for drama, but the quiet moment when Papa finally sees the number and understands what I've been building while he wasn't looking. I keep thinking about something, I tell Liam. Remember when we got the acquisition offer? Remember that night we drove to Piedmont Park and just sat there? You cried, Liam says, grinning, like a baby. I cried because I finally had proof. I take a sip of my coffee, which has gone cold. Proof that I wasn't just the safe brother, the boring one who plays it careful. I had built something real. The memory is still vivid. We'd spent 18 months in negotiations with Meridian. 18 months of conference calls, due diligence, legal reviews. The night we signed, I drove to Piedmont Park and called no one. Didn't post on social media. Didn't celebrate. I just sat on a bench and cried because for the first time in my life, I had something that couldn't be dismissed or minimized or compared unfavorably to Desmond's flash. You know what your problem is? Liam closes his laptop. You think you need their permission to be proud of yourself. My phone buzzes. A text from Amaka. You coming Saturday? Mama's making your favorite. I show Liam the message. My sister's the only one who even asks if I'm coming. Then do it for her, Liam taps the folder. But also do it for you. You've been invisible by choice for 32 years. Maybe it's time to be seen. That evening, I sit in my apartment and print 5 copies of the portfolio statement. I'm not planning to hand them out like party favors, but I want backup. I fold one copy carefully and slip it into my wallet, behind my driver's license. The others go in the folder. On my laptop, I open a new document and type what I want to say at the reunion, but after staring at the blank page for an hour, I close it without writing a word. Some truths don't need speeches. They just need to be seen. The reunion is held at the Avalon Community Center in Alpharetta, the same venue we've rented for the past 5 years. By the time I arrive at 6 o'clock, the parking lot is already half full with cars I recognize. Uncle Chukwu's old Camry, Aunt Adizi's minivan, Cousin Ijioma's red Nissan, with the dented bumper she refuses to fix. Inside, the hall buzzes with familiar voices speaking English, peppered with Igbo phrases, children running between tables, and the smell of enough Nigerian food to feed half of Atlanta. Mama's set up the usual buffet. Jollof rice, egusi soup, pounded yam, fried plantains, and her famous chin-chin that disappears within the first hour. I'm wearing my best shirt, a navy button-down I bought 2 years ago, and carrying the manila folder tucked under my arm like it's just work papers. Nobody notices me slip in. Amaka waves from across the room where she's helping arrange folding chairs, but everyone else is too busy catching up, comparing children's report cards, and asking about jobs and marriages. Telling and preparing this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Emeka! Cousin Ijeoma appears beside me with the energy of someone who lives for family gatherings. She's holding her phone, already recording. You look good! Still single? Still doing the computer thing? Still doing the computer thing, I confirm. Well, you know your brother is... She stops mid-sentence as car doors slam outside. Through the window, I see a white BMW pull into the parking lot, with the bass turned up loud enough to rattle windows. The room goes quiet for exactly 3 seconds. Then Desmond walks in. He's wearing a cream-colored suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent, gold chains that catch the fluorescent lights, and sunglasses even though we're indoors and it's nearly evening. Behind him trails his girlfriend of the month, a tall woman with straightened hair and a dress that hugs every curve. "Family," Desmond's voice booms across the hall. "Your boy has arrived." The room erupts. People rush toward him like he's a celebrity. Uncle Chukwu pumps his hand. Aunt Adais kisses both his cheeks. Children stare wide-eyed at his jewelry. Even the elderly women, who usually stay seated, get up to greet him. Papa appears beside Desmond almost instantly, beaming with pride. Everyone, my son Desmond, the real estate mogul. You all saw his billboard on 85?" Cheers and applause fill the room. Ijioma's phone is practically smoking from recording so much content. "Speech! Speech!" someone shouts from the back. Desmond doesn't need to be asked twice. He climbs onto a chair, raises his hands for quiet, and flashes that $1,000,000 smile. "Y'all know I had to pull up in style," he says, and everyone laughs. "But for real, family is everything. And success, real success, is about taking risks, betting on yourself, and never settling for average." His eyes find mine across the room when he says average, and I feel that familiar knot tighten in my stomach. I stand in the back, folder in hand, and watch my little brother own the room. Dinner is served family style at long tables, covered in plastic tablecloths that have seen better years. I find myself seated between Cousin Ijeoma and Uncle Chukwu, directly across from Papa and Desmond. Mama flutters around the table, making sure everyone has enough food, enough drinks, enough attention. The conversation flows easily. Updates about children's schools, complaints about Atlanta traffic, gossip about neighbors back in Nigeria. I eat quietly, listening to Uncle Chukwu tell the same story about his taxi driving days that he tells every year. Then Desmond stands up with his glass of Hennessy. "I want to make a toast," he announces, and the table goes quiet. "To family, to dreams, and to building empires that our children can inherit." Everyone raises their glasses. I lift my water. "You know," Desmond continues, settling back into his chair, "people always ask me how I got started, how I went from nothing to 7 figures. And I tell them, you have to think big. You have to take risks. You can't just play it safe your whole life." Papa nods approvingly. "That's right. That's the difference between successful people and—" He gestures vaguely at the table, but his eyes land on me. "And people who just get comfortable." "Papa," Amaka says quietly from down the table, but he's already warmed to his theme. "Look at my 2 sons," Papa says, his voice carrying that tone he gets when he's had a drink and wants to make a point. "One builds an empire, the other," he shrugs, "the other has a steady job." Desmond chuckles, not meanly, but with the casual confidence of someone who's never been on the receiving end of this comparison. Max could be rich too if he wanted to be. He's just too careful, too worried about what might go wrong. "That's not fair," Amaka starts, but Desmond waves her off. No, it's okay, we're family, we can be honest." He looks directly at me, still smiling. "Max plays it safe, gets his paycheck, pays his bills, keeps his head down. Nothing wrong with that. Someone has to be the steady one, right?" Quote. Laughter ripples around the table. Not cruel laughter, but the kind that comes when people think they're sharing an obvious truth. Even Mama smiles slightly, though she won't meet my eyes. "The thing is," Desmond continues, warming to his audience, "wealth is a mindset. You have to see yourself as rich before you can become rich. You have to act like money belongs to you." Uncle Chukwu nods sagely. "Young people today, they want guarantees. In our day, we took chances." I set down my fork carefully. The folder is on the floor beside my chair, where I placed it when I sat down. My heart is beating faster, but my hands are steady. "That's true," I say quietly. "You do have to see yourself differently." Desmond beams at me like I've finally learned the lesson. Exactly, see? Max gets it. Maybe there's hope for you yet, big brother. More laughter, more nodding heads. I reach down and pick up the folder. I stand up slowly, folder in hand. The conversation continues around me. Uncle Chukwu is now sharing his own wisdom about entrepreneurship, and Cousin Ijoma is nodding along while typing on her phone. Nobody notices me moving until I'm standing at the head of the table. "Papa," I say quietly. The table doesn't go silent immediately. Uncle Chukwu finishes his sentence about young people and their excuses before realizing I'm standing. Conversations taper off in waves until only the sound of children playing in the background remains. Papa looks up at me with mild curiosity, as if he's surprised I have something to contribute to the discussion about success and wealth building. "You said I should think bigger," I continue, my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. "You said I need to see myself differently." "That's right," Papa nods, glancing at Desmond with the look of a teacher whose slow student is finally getting the lesson. I open the folder and slide the portfolio statement across the table until it comes to rest in front of Papa's plate. "Maybe you should see me differently, too." Papa picks up the paper, adjusting his reading glasses. His expression changes from mild interest to confusion as his eyes scan the document. I watch his face carefully as he reads the header: Meridian Financial Services, Portfolio Summary, Account Holder, Emeka Nwosu. His eyes move down the page, past the acquisition details, past the investment breakdown, until they reach the bottom line. Total portfolio value, $52,847,293.18. Papa's mouth opens slightly. He reads the number again, then looks up at me, then back at the paper. "What is this?" he asks quietly. "That's my portfolio statement from last week," I say. BuildBridge Solutions was acquired by Meridian Industries 14 months ago. That's my share of the acquisition, plus growth. Desmond leans over to look at the paper. His smile fades as he reads. 52 million, Papa says, almost whispering. The table erupts. "What?" Cousin Ijoma shrieks, nearly dropping her phone. "Max, is this real?" "Holy shit," Uncle Chukwu breathes, forgetting he's at a family dinner. "Language!" Mama scolds automatically, but she's staring at the paper like it might disappear. Desmond snatches the statement from Papa's hands, his eyes scanning it frantically. "This has to be fake. There's no way." "It's real," says a voice from behind me. I turn to see Liam walking into the hall, grinning widely. "Sorry I'm late." "Traffic was murder." He nods at the paper in Desmond's hands. "That's very real. I should know. I was his co-founder." The silence that follows is deafening. Even the children seem to sense something significant is happening and quiet their games. I look around the table at faces that suddenly see me differently. Not Max, the boring brother. Not Max, the safe one. Just Max. For the first time in 32 years, they're really looking at me. The silence stretches for exactly 7 seconds before chaos erupts. $52 million! Cousin Ijoma practically screams, grabbing my arm. "Max, you've been sitting on $52 million this whole time, and you drive that Honda?" Everyone starts talking at once. Uncle Chukwu is studying the portfolio statement like it's written in hieroglyphics. Anta Daiz is rapid-firing questions about investments and interest rates. The children have abandoned their games and are staring at me like I've grown wings. But I'm watching 3 people specifically. Papa sits frozen, the statement back in his hands, reading it over and over as if the numbers might change. His mouth moves silently, and I can tell he's doing math, trying to comprehend the scale of what he's seeing. Mama has her hand pressed to her chest, eyes wide, looking between me and the paper like she's witnessing a miracle. "Emeka," she whispers, "is this really true?" And Desmond pushes back from the table abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "This is bullshit," he says, his voice tight. "You don't just hide $50 million from your family. Who does that?" "Someone who's tired of being called average," Liam says mildly, helping himself to a plate from the buffet like he belongs here. Desmond's face flushes. "I never called him average. I just said..." "You said he was too careful, too safe, that he needed to think bigger," Amaka interrupts from across the table. I hadn't noticed her moving, but she's standing now too, tears streaming down her face. You've been saying it for years. We all have. Her voice breaks on the last words, and suddenly I understand that she's not crying from shock. She's crying from relief. Amaka, I start. No, Max. Let me say this. She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. You've been the smartest person in this family since we were kids, and we treated you like you were broken because you weren't loud about it, because you didn't brag or show off or put your face on billboards. Desmond's jaw tightens. So what, this is my fault? I'm supposed to apologize for being successful? You're supposed to apologize for being an ass, Uncle Chukwu says bluntly, still staring at the portfolio statement. Desmond looks around the table at faces that are no longer focused on him, and I see something crack in his expression. The confident smile is gone, replaced by something rawer, more vulnerable. I need some air, he mutters, and walks outside. Mama starts to follow him, then stops and looks back at me. For a moment, I think she's going to choose between comforting Desmond and staying to talk to me. But then she goes after him, and I'm left standing at the head of the table, holding a folder that just changed everything. Well, Ijoma says, breaking the tension, this is definitely going on Instagram. Despite everything, I laugh. Please don't. Too late. I'm already composing the caption. Plot twist at the Nwosu reunion. The quiet one was the millionaire all along. Liam claps me on the shoulder. How does it feel? I look around the table at my family, really look at them. They're still processing, still adjusting to this new reality where Max isn't the boring brother anymore. Different, I say. It feels different. 20 minutes later, I find Papa sitting alone on the bench outside the community center, staring at the parking lot like he's trying to solve a complex equation. The portfolio statement is folded in his hands, creased from being read so many times. I sit beside him without saying anything. Inside, I can hear the reunion continuing. Laughter, conversations, children playing, life moving forward while we sit in this pocket of stillness. $52 million, Papa says finally, his voice quiet. And you never said anything. Would you have listened? Papa turns to look at me, and for the first time in years, I see uncertainty in his eyes. That's not fair. Isn't it? I lean back against the bench. When was the last time you asked me about my work? Really asked, not just how's the computer job. When was the last time you wanted to know what I was building? Papa is quiet for a long moment. A car pulls out of the parking lot, its headlights sweeping across us before disappearing into the night. Your mother and I, he starts, then stops. Starts again. When we came to this country, we had nothing but hopes for our children. We wanted you boys to be successful, to have the opportunities we never had. I know that. Desmond was always so visible, so confident. Even as a child, he would stand up and demand attention. You were different. Quiet. Responsible. Maybe too responsible. Papa unfolds the statement again, though it's too dark to read it. We thought quiet meant safe. We thought safe meant small dreams. The knot in my stomach that's been there for 32 years starts to loosen, just slightly. I built something, Papa, something real. While you were watching Desmond perform, I was actually doing the work. I see that now. Papa's voice cracks slightly. God help me, I see that now. We sit in silence again. Inside, someone has started playing music. Old Nigerian songs that make me think of childhood, of Sunday dinners, of a time when Papa's approval felt like the most important thing in the world. I'm sorry, Papa says so quietly I almost miss it. I turn to look at him. What? I'm sorry, Amaka. I failed you. As a father, I failed to see who you really were. It's not the grand apology I used to dream about as a child. It's just a tired man admitting he made mistakes. But somehow, it's enough. I didn't do this for revenge, I tell him. I didn't reveal that statement to embarrass anyone or prove a point. I just wanted you to see me, really see me. Papa nods slowly. I see you now, my son, I see you now. He reaches over and squeezes my shoulder. The first time he's initiated physical contact with me in years. $52 million, he says again, and this time there's something like wonder in his voice. My quiet son, the millionaire. Your son, I correct gently. Just your son. We sit together on the bench, father and son, while the reunion continues without us. For the first time in my adult life, Papa's presence feels like peace instead of judgment. Inside, Desmond and Mama are probably having their own difficult conversation. There will be more talks, more adjustments, more figuring out how our family works now that the truth is visible. But for now, this is enough. The reunion ends quietly. No dramatic speeches, no family photo with everyone gathered around me like I'm suddenly the guest of honor. Just people saying their goodbyes, loading leftover food into containers, and promising to call each other more often, the same promises they make every year. Liam drives me home in comfortable silence, the radio playing soft jazz, while Atlanta's skyline glitters through the windshield. At a red light, he glances over at me. Feel better? I consider the question. Different. Not necessarily better, just different. Good different? Ask me in a month. The light turns green, and we drive on. Back in my apartment, I sit on my couch and look around at the space I've called home for 3 years. The Target blinds, the second-hand furniture, the stack of programming books on the coffee table. Nothing has changed, but somehow everything feels different. The weight I've been carrying, the need to prove myself, to be seen, has lifted just enough for me to breathe freely. My phone buzzes. A text from Desmond. We should talk sometime, when you're ready. No anger, no defensiveness, just an acknowledgement that our relationship needs rebuilding too. Another text, this one from Mama, a photo of me as a 7-year-old, gap-toothed and grinning, holding a certificate for a science fair project. Below it, just a heart emoji. I save both messages and set my phone aside. The portfolio statement is still in its folder on my kitchen counter. Tomorrow, I'll file it away with the rest of my financial documents. But tonight, I leave it there. Not as a trophy, but as a reminder. Not of my wealth, but of my worth. I open my laptop and create a new document. At the top, I type NW Ventures Investment Fund Proposal. For months, I've been thinking about what comes next. The acquisition money is more than I need to live comfortably for the rest of my life. But comfortable was never the goal. Building something meaningful was. I start typing. Mission: to provide seed funding and mentorship for underrepresented entrepreneurs who are building solutions quietly without flash or fanfare. For the dreamers who work in libraries instead of co-working spaces. For the builders who code at kitchen tables instead of posting on LinkedIn about their journey. 3 hours later, I have a rough business plan for a $10 million fund focused on finding and supporting the invisible innovators, people like me, who build real value without making noise about it. It's nearly midnight when I finally close the laptop. Through my window, Atlanta spreads out below me. Millions of people living their lives, pursuing their dreams, carrying their own invisible burdens and secret victories. I think about the 7-year-old boy in Mama's photo, the one who won a science fair by designing a better water filter. He wasn't building for recognition or applause. He was building because he saw a problem and believed he could solve it. 32 years later, I'm still that boy, still building, still solving problems. The difference is, now I know that's enough. I don't need Papa's approval, or Desmond's acknowledgement, or anyone else's validation to know my own worth. I am Emeka Nwosu. I build things that matter, and I'm just getting started. Up next, we have 2 more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch, and it will take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.